Salute, Knicks Nation. Welcome in. The streets are buzzing. Hope you're doing well. Look forward to tonight. This show is all going to be about the Knicks and the draft needs, fam. Episode 1 of my series, How They Help the New York Knicks. Today we're going to go through 8 prospects that I feel are the safer selections to come in and fit what we do, the culture, the spots available, their games mesh with what's currently happening in the Mecca right now. As the Knicks, man, this season, this off-season is big, and we continue to look at ways to improve this roster and come back and hopefully win that championship next season, right? But all about the NBA draft with this one. Welcome in, everyone. I hope you're doing well, enjoying the weekend. It's Saturday night, and the feeling is right to talk about the NBA draft, right? Coming up soon, late June. And welcome in, everyone. Smash that like button. The streets are buzzing. Welcome in if you're new. Appreciate you for rocking out with us as well. We shout you guys out in the chat. We have a conversation. But this one, yeah, it's all going to be about episode 1, fam, the safer selections for me. But in my first episode of this series of the NBA draft, How They Help, Series 1, safer selections, we're going to talk about Ryan Dunn, fam, Bobi Klintman, Jaylon Tyson, Kel'el Ware, Jonathan Mogbo, Terrence Shannon Jr, and Ajay Mitchell, and DaRon Holmes, fam, as well. We'll talk about where their draft range is right now, but we'll talk about their games, look at some highlights, and sort of focus on how they help this series, you know, in terms of the Knicks coming in, where would they fit, and how do their games fit, fam, as well. Episode 2, Episode 3, just so you guys know, fam, the next show we do, we'll hone in on the other prospects that we won't touch on tonight as well. If there is any that you feel like would fit in any of these categories, let me know as well. Love the interaction in the comment section. But episode 2, the next show, I'll do more risk rewards. Guys that I feel like have higher upside potentially than the guys we talk about tonight, right? And their games, you know, maybe they've been a little bit more underrated, a little bit more of a steal potentially. And episode 3, as you see, will be aiming high. Guys that might be out of our range, but you think we might be able to trade up to get, you know, guys that you think, you know, will have a higher ceiling, you know, than some of these other guys at episode 1 and episode 2 as well. But welcome in, everyone in the chat. Popping right now, London, my man. And Knicks ran out of steam. What's good? Buzzer beater, always up in here. Appreciate you guys. And replay squad, salute. We will put timestamps as well, so you could hone in, you could lock in on each specific prospect that we talk about tonight as well. But in general, I got to start with sort of, you know, as we know, the Knicks roster, right, is great right now. There's no other way to say it. I've updated my depth chart as well to put King Julius back into the starting lineup. Of course, we did dish or swish the first show of the off-season. If you haven't checked that out already, check that out, and that'll explain why there's, you know, dishes and swishes on each player and how we came to that conclusion. But for me, we hear the term running it back, but it's also always about how can we still improve the roster as well, right? You don't want to bring everyone back because then there's less room for improvement. And obviously there's going to be a question mark over Bogey's option June 28. I think the Knicks will still pick that option up, and then they'll have some options to play with in trades, etc. as well. But for guys like maybe a Precious Achiuwa, Alec Burks, I feel like we can upgrade those spots, right? And someone has to leave the roster for these new guys to come in, right? OG Anunoby, Isaiah Hartenstein, I feel like they're going to get their money, right? So that is the roster of currently where things sit, fam. And in terms of the Knicks draft needs, right, picks 24, 25, and 38, right? So a lot of options, possibly, you know, flipping them for future picks, trading them for a vet, trading a couple of them to move up or move down. One thing I feel pretty strongly about, guys, is the second round pick, right? I feel like the Knicks, regardless of what they do with these firsts, I think they're going to make a selection at least in the second round. I'll be absolutely shocked if they don't, for a couple of reasons. One is obviously, pick 38. You can find some really good talent in this draft that's laid up. Obviously, there's a lot of parity in this draft, which we'll talk about. The other thing is no guaranteed salary, right? Jericho Sims, Deuce McBride, the Knicks were able to... One of the reasons they have those guys on great contracts right now is because they had that flexibility of those guys being second round draft picks. And the Knicks will have those fringe, roster spots at the back end to kind of fill their roster with some of these second round picks potentially as well. So that's why I feel really highly that the Knicks will at least make a second round pick. Right now, first round pick, it's up in the air. That's really where it's at, fam. Official Jonah, what's up? What's up, my man? And guys in the chat buzzing right now. Salute to Replay Squad again. Smash that like button. We will simplify things. For those that aren't quite, familiar with this class or have only heard the generic terms floated around as well. I'm not a draft expert, but what I'm going to do is do the best possible to not waste your time and to simplify everything about all these prospects and what you need to know, right? The nitty gritty. But there's a lot of private workouts happening right now, and the Knicks had at least 6 guys in for a group workout that have been unofficially reported. Some of the players have leaked it on their Insta, etc., etc. But for the most part, the Knicks want to stay pretty hush, right? There's a reason why they're not officially, putting out there that they're working out some of these guys. You know how the Knicks kind of move, right? They like to move in silence as well. Some people have feelings about that. Either way you slice it, I think the Knicks, do work hard when it comes to scouting, right? I know that for a fact. A lot of these guys travel down under. They travel to Europe. Scouting report, Walt Perrin, a couple of other Knicks scouts that I know, they do travel a lot all throughout the year as well. So the Knicks have good intel, right? Regardless if they don't make these picks, the Knicks have pretty good intel, right? And for various reasons, like Kel'el Ware, who we'll talk about. Obviously, Coach Woodson did, coach him at Indiana as well. And obviously through Kentucky, various other connections, fam, as well. But the time is now. Let's dive in, guys. Episode 1, how they help the New York Knicks. Tonight is all about safer selections, in my opinion. These 8 guys, man, they stand out to me for various reasons, right? Some of them are a little bit more ready to come in and contribute. Some not so much, but their floor is pretty high, generally. Some might look at safer selections and think, we want to aim higher. Well, that's what episode 3 is going to be all about. But this one's going to be all about these guys have a certain skill set, a size, an intangible, whatever it is, that's going to come in and I think add to this team as well. And I'm really excited to talk about it. Right. And as I said, episode 2, the next show we do next week will be risk reward, and episode 3 will be aiming higher too. But without further ado, fam, the first candidate that I want to talk about tonight, man, is a guy that Knicks Nation and a lot of people are really high on, right? And as they should be, right? For various reasons. We will go through where they're kind of projected in terms of range, right? For Ryan Dunn, it's, I think, around 20 to 35. Obviously, there's still a lot to play out, fam. There's rises as we get closer to the draft, fam, as well. Now, great Twitter follower, The Cooler, my guy, a great fan of the show and a good friend of our show as well. He put out some NBA comps as well, so I want to shout him out as well. A lot of them I agreed with, so I am using them. And I think a good NBA comp for a Ryan Dunn could be Herb Jones as well. That lets you know that it's all about length, it's all about defense, and it's all about, pleasing what Tom Thibodeau is all about, right? I'm going to pull up some highlights right now, and we're going to get into it, right? And courtesy of Jacob Myers, this Twitter handle put 5 minutes of Ryan Dunn's defense too. So the strengths for Ryan Dunn, man, it stands out. He's elite at steals, blocks, coming in at 6'7", offers that positional size that we're looking for. Maybe a backup to Josh Hart, if he's, not needing to play so many minutes. OG Anunoby, doubts over his durability as well. Now, Ryan Dunn's offense, we will touch on that shortly, but for his strengths, right, his length, it's 6'7", he's a great athlete, runs the wing really well, just really, really elite with the 7'1" wingspan and a 38-inch vertical as well. Pops off the page, right? I guess his go-to move is just a slash, fam, as well. He's not an offensive creator, right? His shooting needs a lot of work as well. He's not an offensive-minded player, right? And I use the term weakness lightly because it's basically every prospect has a weakness, every NBA player. It's just something that they need to work on as well. But the number one thing to know with Ryan Dunn is he's not an offensive-minded player, but he's extremely ready, I feel, fam, to come in and contribute to this squad, right? In terms of coming in, Herb Jones comp, he came into the league and made an impact immediately. He's averaging 3.6 stocks, which is steals and blocks combined, which is amazing. And another reason he fits is the age, 21 years of age, man, a sophomore coming out of Virginia as well. So that is my rundown on Ryan Dunn, right? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Range 20 to 35, he's been mocked to the Knicks quite a little bit as well. A lot of these mocks. AP in the building. What's up, Orlando? In the chat as well. Official Jonah asks, how much do you expect Hartenstein to make? I think he's going to make something around 18, fam. I really feel like 18 to 17. I think he'll get the max that the Knicks can pay to. Now, Oklahoma, there's talk over him potentially getting offered 20 plus. That's going to be hard to predict, fam. There is a couple of other options as well. Also, Johnny Bryant to the Cavs. I think Kenny Atkinson will get that position, but I think Johnny Bryant is getting closer and closer to getting a job, and I think most Knicks fans feel okay about it. He's deserving of it as well. What's up, London, my guy? Salute. Yeah, in terms of Ryan Dunn, as I load up the highlights once again, what stands out with Ryan Dunn is his size, right? The Knicks need positional size, and he ticks that box for me. So that's the reason why he's a safer selection, right? You can't go wrong. Obviously, offense, I'm not too worried because, look, we know how good the roster is right now. There's Devo, there's Deuce's shooting, come a long, long way. I think Hart's going to work on his shooting as well. But, OG, obviously the Knicks have room to potentially get another upgrade at the wing spot with scoring. And you just need a guy to come in right now and complement this roster. And Ryan Dunn does that in spades too, right? He'll get steals, blocks, get out in transition, which is big. Defense can fuel the Knicks offense as well, because you guys know we are a slow half-court team as well. But where I felt we missed in the playoffs is obviously a little bit of size. Siakam took the advantage of the smaller matchup when OG went down. And look, that is a number one concern, right? If we're going to pay OG and he misses, 30 plus games per season, then yeah, a 6'7" Ryan Dunn to come in really, really helps with that. And like I said, he's mocked 24 to the Knicks, where a lot of guys, where a lot of mocks, do think that it's very realistic, right? So for me, number one, safer selection. This isn't in any particular order. By the way, this is just going through the 8 prospects tonight, guys. But salute once again, replay squad, salute. Let us know your thoughts on Ryan Dunn and his fit, right? If the Knicks do make one first-round selection, right, based on history, it's been Quentin Grimes, it's been Emmanuel Quickley, guys that have been multi-year college guys, and guys who can come in and be a little bit more ready, right? Tom Thibodeau is here. We don't need to elaborate on that, guys. And what's the best way to win Tibbs over is defense, hustle. intangible, wingspan, all of those things, fam. NBA comp, Herb Jones. I think some people obviously had feelings about Cam Reddish, when he was with the Knicks. Obviously, for various reasons, that didn't work out with Tibbs. Cam Reddish had some issues with his motor. So did Kevin Knox when it came to Tibbs. So did Obi Toppin with his motor as well. But Ryan Dunn, I think Tibbs would love him. He's all about defense, steals, blocks, rebounds, and extremely athletic as well. But to get all of that good stuff, obviously we're going to highlight the shortcomings offensively. Ryan Dunn has a lot of limitations, right? But he is 21, so there are some prospects that are 22, 23, 24 being linked to the Knicks. But a couple years, in college, not too old, right? A little bit more mature, no doubt, fam. As we look at the Knicks draft picks coming up too, we might only make one of these selections, which is why we might want to make the selection even more safe, right? If we are flipping one of the other ones, or potentially moving them onto these other years that we see, right? But where would Ryan Dunn potentially fit with this squad? Well, yeah, man, I think Bogey. I think he would fit perfectly as the backup 3. Obviously, he's a little bit too small for a backup 4, in my opinion. Maybe we do keep Precious. We'll wait and see. Maybe Precious Achiuwa sticks. He is a restricted free agent as well, and the Knicks could go over the cap if they do want to keep our guy Precious. But where I see immediately his fit could be a backup 3, man, right behind OG Anunoby. That spot has a big question mark, fam, just like the Riddler. And obviously Bogdanovic is a more offensive-minded player. It would be good to counter that with a very, very, adept defensive kind of guy with Dunn and that situation too. But yeah, as we see, man, on these highlights, great 1v1 defender as well, extremely long wingspan, good vertical, gets on the floor, good hustle guy as well. High defensive motor as well. So look, if that ain't going to win Tibbs over, nothing will, right? So obviously, as I said, I think the Knicks have enough offensive help. We can look for those shot creators and backup point guards maybe with other spots. But I think Ryan Dunn, I'll be very, very happy if the Knicks were able to get him one way or the other with that situation. AP says, love that defense. Thumbs up, too. Yeah, you said it. Dirty Dancers in the building. I think Dunn is a head case on the level of Ben Simmons, though, on offense. Offense is the problem, no doubt. But there, that's your thoughts on Ryan Dunn. I think it's a mixed bag. Obviously, I think off the bench, you got Deuce McBride. If you do have Bogey still, you can look to bring in some snipers to surround a guy like a Dunn as well. But unfortunately, that is the tail of the tape when you're picking, 24, 25 and later. You're going to have to sacrifice a part of their games as well. Like I said, this is candidate 1 of 8 that we'll talk about. And we did hear from the guys on the Roommates podcast as well. See you guys talking about that. It was a great episode. Good to hear our guys as well. Once we're going through all these prospects, we'll freestyle and do a Q&A after, fam. But that is the first prospect. The next guy I want to talk about is Bobi Klintman, right? Played a year in college at Wake Forest and then turned pro. Went to the NBL in Australia via Sweden. 21 years of age, 6'10", small forward, fam. We'll look at his comp, and I'll bring up some highlights for Bobi Klintman, right? As I have seen him up close and personal. Yeah, obviously he's playing down under as well. I had the chance to interview Bobi Klintman as well, so he's a really intriguing prospect for me, for many reasons, right? And his range around 20 to 30. His game, defense first as well, right? There is a theme here. Obviously, we're talking about fit for this club, right? An OG and an Obi, right? I feel like when OG's in the squad, we are a completely different team. And obviously, if we can get some guys that can offer similar traits, replicate what he brings, the more the better, fam. Now, to a lesser extent, he's a defensive stopper, but he brings more size. He's a real power forward / small forward, right? Combo forward, 6'10", as well. As you see, he gets out on the break. I'll pull up the highlights right now. He gets out on the break. He can play make as well. I think an NBA comp could be a Harrison Barnes as well. Someone who's seen him up close. The 3-point shooting has upside. He's a little streaky at the moment, and he is prone to pick up some fouls, but that is because of the defensive aggression that Bobi Klintman possesses. His handle, to me, I think that is a real swing skill. I think similar to RJ Barrett, right? I think that'll help his shot creation a lot if he can tighten those handle. But there you see on the break, man, he is dynamite, 6'10". He moves really, really well, right? He's not a burly 6'10" kind of guy. He's very lengthy, rangy as well. But some real skills that pop off to me watching him live. He's excellent in terms of cutting as well. Think about Isaiah Hartenstein finding a 6'10" kind of combo forward cutting baseline, getting out on the break like you see here as well. Plays above the rim as well, which is also great, which you want in a combo kind of forward as well. More athletic than a Harrison Barnes, in my opinion. Obviously a little bigger, but maybe not as skilled offensively as well. So that is a light comparison. But look, if you can get a guy like Harrison Barnes type in the early to mid-20s as well, I think that's a safe pick. Again, he brings defensive intangibles. He's got length, good wingspan, and I think it would be quite a safe selection for me. What's up, Sandman in the building? What's up? Dirty Dancer says, I like Bobby's vision, passing, versatility, but he is a little slow. Yeah, as he puts on more weight, he might be a little less up and down kind of guy, as we saw. Younger, lighter guys can move up and down quicker as well, but you hit it definitely with the passing, the vision, and his feel for the game is pretty high. But obviously, because of his age, that, he should have picked up a lot of those things. This is a guy who's played a little bit of college, pro now, overseas. One thing to add as well, guys, is Bobi Klintman's team in the NBL did play against an NBA team in NBA preseason as well. It didn't go so well. It was early in the season, obviously before the season began, and also, off a huge flight. He came off like a 21-hour kind of flight, had to play the game. The team, the whole team was kind of a little bit injured, banged up, and gassed as well. But Bobi had a very up and down performance in that game. What showed to me, though, is, again, his defensive skill set does look like it belongs on the NBA floor with the size, the ability to pass as well, play make a little bit, and stretch the floor out. But he is still a little streaky in terms of, offensively. But in terms of how he would fit with the New York Knicks, now he's a guy with a little bit more versatility over Ryan Dunn, in my opinion, where I would safely play him at the 3 or the 4 at the backup spots as well. Let's say, once again, Precious Achua doesn't make it to the squad back next year, or Bogey. I think a Bobi Klintman would be a really, solid addition, a guy who could back up any of the forward spots as well. With the playmaking ability, that helps a lot, I think, especially, in the post area as well. 6'10", they don't teach size, like they say. The shooting has upside. I was there in the building multiple times to see Klintman. Warm-ups, the shot looks great. Obviously, it's a little streaky in-game. But if he can elevate that. And I think that could be a big focus for him. Another big focus could be the dribble. Like I said, uh, there's real untapped potential with the playmaking aspect of Bobi Klintman as well, because his vision is good, his feel for the game is good, but he's got to tighten up that handle as well. Interviewing Bobi, I will put that up on the channel as well. He did talk to me about a guy that he is looked up to coming in, young in his career is Paul George. Obviously, a lot of these young prospects, they love Paul George, and obviously he's been in the league for so long now as well, really well respected, potential Knicks target as well. Bobi told me that Paul George is a guy that he really looks up to as well. Obviously, he's got a long way to go in terms of the playmaking, the scoring, but I could see him having the same or better defensive impact than a Paul George as well. Little heavy on the feet. He's going to have to, pick up some more, defensive skills in terms of shuffling the feet, getting quicker to stay in front of, his man. But look, he's 6'10". He's a little bit more heavy for a small forward, but maybe as his career goes along, he could be a great power forward with that situation. But look, he comes in, he brings the size immediately as well, and I think he could be a strong chance to, to come in and back up an OG Anunoby, obviously another big plus is pro experience, right? This is a guy who's played, like I said, a year of college, but also played in a physical league. He told me that, the biggest adjustment was learning to play in the NBL early. The physicality was big in terms of adjustment for him. But, his ability to get out and transition showed immediately, even from the NBL preseason as well. And he did make a lot of strides throughout the regular season. Unfortunately, he did go through some lumps because his NBL team was, a pretty average to bad team on the season over there in the league. So he did have to go through a lot of, tribulations and, learning to be a pro in his first year as well. So Bobi is a really high character guy. I think he would fit the locker room. He'd fit the culture as well. He's well traveled. He's an international prospect via Sweden, but obviously has lived in the United States. He played college for Wake Forest, and obviously he's lived in Australia for the last year as well. So any team that gets Bobi is getting a really good guy, really, really high character. He gets it. He's got that pro mindset already of how to fit with a team, do whatever it takes to kind of help the team, more so on the defensive side as well. So, yeah, in terms of the NBL preseason game, you can watch that. He did play, the NBA preseason game. I think he did play the Washington Wizards, and I think he might have played also the Atlanta Hawks as well. But it was good experience. It didn't go so great, but it was a valuable lesson, right? So range 20 to 30 for Bobi Klintman, and I think he will probably go in the first round. I think it's obviously it's a weaker class. A team that gets Bobi, is getting, a player that can come in and kind of be plug and play. Who doesn't love cutting, off-ball movement, extra size, right? He plays above the rim, can slam it down, got, good rim verticality, and just a really big wingspan, right? Can get strips and steals, good feel for the game as well. Obviously, he'll have his rookie tendencies. He can get beaten backdoor a little bit. He does gamble, defensively. He does pick up quite a few fouls, a la kind of Dante DiVincenzo. But for me, I like those defenders because you love the aggression. You know that he knows that he can have an impact defensively, and he tries every single time. So I would say he's got a pretty high motor for the defensive side of things as well. So that is Bobi Klintman, the second prospect out of 8 that we'll talk about tonight, fam. Safer selections. Guys that come in and fit this squad. Culture, games, all of those things. Let me know your thoughts too. We're going to talk about DaRon Holmes as well. You guys in the chat buzzing right now. London says he's definitely a 4. I think as his career goes along, I think that'll probably be the preferred position. Yeah, he's a little bit slower with his feet defensively, right? But getting out in transition, very athletic. Now, I'm going to talk about the next prospect right now as we move along. Another fan favorite is Jaylon Tyson, 6'7", small forward junior out of Cali, 21 years of age as well. Jay Tice, man, what are your thoughts on him? As I'll pull up the highlights for him. Cal's Jaylon Tyson had his pro day. Real potential sleeper in this class. Right, there's obviously no shortage of wings in this class, which is a positive. That's kind of where the Knicks need. Right, we have our point guards, and yes, we could do with some shot creation. Having Deuce as the backup, we'll see what happens with Rokas. But Jaylon Tyson, 6'7", another guy who prides himself defensively, not as adept as a Ryan Dunn defensively in my opinion, but much better offensively. So Jaylon Tyson can slash. I think his NBA comp could be a Caleb Martin / Alec Burks. Don't use that lightly. And also, the caller gives us his comp on that one as well, so shout out to him. The strengths, I think Jaylon Tyson's a great athlete. Upside with some shot creation, good at isolation, able to beat his man, get to the cup. Weaknesses, he was a higher usage guy, so he did suffer some turnovers and is a streak shooter, right? But the Knicks could go far worse in terms of needs for this squad, right? 6'7", really good size. I think he measured about 6'6"3/4", so he's basically a 6'7" wing. And this talks about a potential Kel'el Ware, fitting this team well. We have Alec Burks already. A 21-year-old Jaylon Tyson, I think, could come in and really add a lot to this depth chart. Early, obviously, a couple years in college as well. A theme that's going to keep repeating itself because the Knicks love guys that come in and are ready. Right, we're not going to really spend a lot of time developing guys, and we're also not picking, really high up. Those days of the Kevin Knoxes, the Obies, and those guys, Porzingis, RJ Barrett. When the Knicks had those picks, they were obviously trying to swing a lot higher. But with this squad, man, I love it, and we can do some of these tweaks to make it. More, I think, rigid, more rugged. And obviously one of them is backing up OG, right? Bogdanovic is really a 4 in my opinion. So I really think this backup 3 spot is something to look at, right? And a Jaylon Tyson can come in and give us some scoring off the bench as well. He draws some fouls with his physicality, getting to the cup as well. And a lot of footage out there from his pro days as well. And look, playing for California, he had a lot of usage as well, so that's good. You get to see how these guys really look when it comes to, handling the rock and, maybe having a dynamic role off our bench. Someone who can do some stuff. Knicks ran out of steam. Says, I hope Edey drops to New York. We will talk about Zach Edey in one of the other eps coming up. Dirty says, I like Tyson quite a bit. Had to do everything for Cal, which hurt his efficiency a little. Yep, 100%, like I just mentioned as well. But it's kind of good, because I'd rather see that than not. You want to see a guy with high usage to see what he can really do, and those kinds of things. And obviously he's not going to have that kind of usage with a pro team right away. And so, I think the Knicks can really... Well, there's a reason why all these guys are in safer selections for me, because they come in and I think they add something to this team. It's not the team trying to bend to fit around some of these other guys who we'll talk about in the higher upside swings, like your Johnny Furphys, your AJ Johnsons, that would require the Knicks to do a little bit more work, to hone their games and develop them in the G League. All these guys we talk about tonight, I think, plug and play, fam, as well. And that's what probably Tom Thibodeau is looking for if the Knicks do make one of these first round picks, right? What do you think about my NBA comp with Alec Burks, Caleb Martin, as well as also passed to us by the cooler on that one? Knicks ran out of steam. Says, I think Jaylon Tyson can be a real diamond in the rough. I think his stock is up. I think, some mocks have him 20, some 25, some late first round. But I think his stock is rising, fam. And look, you love these prospects being very transparent with their workouts, their pro days. Bricks Nation, what's up? Like I've been saying, I truly expect all of the Knicks picks in this draft and others to be heading to Brooklyn in this summer. That won't shock me. I don't feel like it's as realistic as you might think, but I think that's probably more because of the Brooklyn side of things. But, we are hearing word that Brooklyn might be more open, to blowing it up as well. It's just whether they're willing to move them to the Knicks. That is going to be something to look out for. I do think the Houston link, is something to really pay attention to as well. Douglas in the building, run it back, same team but healthy. Yep, I'm looking forward to seeing most of the squad return, and including Julius, Isaiah, OG. I just really want the team to add a little bit more size, length, toughness as well, as I think obviously in the playoffs bodies went down, and it was a tough situation to see, but obviously some of the injuries were freak, like, Mitch's injury, Bogey's injury. But the reason I'm still a little worried about, relying on Bogey, let's say, for instance, is, he's 35. So even though he did, suffer that freak injury with Batum falling on his leg, what's not to say that he might suffer some other, muscle injuries or non-contact injuries later as well. As the older he gets, I think he'll be less dependable. But obviously a great scorer for the Knicks. I'll be happy if we do keep him. But if we look at that third tier in the depth chart, man, we do need to top up our young stocks, man. Get some young blood in the building as well. And that's not going to hurt our chances of, competing, because really, what is Diakite, Daquan Jeffries, and Shake Milton providing the squad anyways? Jericho Sims included. We're going to talk about Kel'el Ware in a minute, fam, and some of these other guys coming up. It's all about safe selections. How can they help with this series, fam? How can they help? Right. So that was the third guy we talked about tonight out of 8. Jaylon Tyson, man, I think, the chances of us getting him with one of these picks in the 20s is real, right? More well-rounded, I think, than a Ryan Dunn. Not as good defensively, but obviously very few are. Ryan Dunn is the best, I think, perimeter defender in this class. But Jaylon Tyson's an intriguing wing, a two-way guy. If you're thinking in the mold of a Caleb Martin, Kelly Oubre, Alec Burks type as well, a good athlete. Now moving along to the fourth guy we talk about tonight. Coming in at 7'1", sophomore out of Indiana, Kel'el Ware. Guys, the big man, right? One NBA comp floated by the cooler as well is Christian Wood. And a range 20 to 30 once again, right? I don't know if Kel'el is going to go any higher than 20. Let me know what you guys think. But obviously, man, talk about a skill set, and a guy that can come in, and give this team something that it doesn't have, right? As Jonathan Gavoni tweeted out, man, back in February, late February, had his best game of the season then over Wisconsin, 27 points, went 11 of 12, 11 boards, 5 blocks as well. Outstanding season for the big man, Kel'el Ware. Pull this up now. Familiarity, first and foremost. We'll start there. I think Woody, being, close to him and that connection, I think the Knicks will have very, very good intel. Obviously, this could dictate what happens with... it might be dictated by what happens with iHeart and with Mitchie, Jericho Sims as well, right? Maybe we still draft a Kel'el Ware, and he tucks in at the backup 4 or 5 spot where Jericho Sims is, right? But the clear point of difference for him, man, is scoring, right? The Knicks don't have offensive-minded big guys, right? And a Kel'el Ware provides that shooting, that touch, right? The comp is Christian Wood, potentially strengths, wingspan as well, 7'5", right? Now, some of the weaknesses, defensive hustle, intangibles, right? Motor. Some of those things, need to be improved. I think for him to really, take the league by storm. But look, it's a great safe pick. I think he's a guy with a soft touch, can, pick and roll, lob threat as well. Quite slender, does need to fill out a bit, but his game is a very rangy kind of big man. Like I said, the intangibles could be something that might put the Knicks off a little. We'll see. There's a reason why we love iHeart, Mitch, and Jericho, and that they're great rebounders. With that said, but won't hurt to get in an offensive-minded big guy. I think we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, he's right in that range for the Knicks, and obviously his skill set would come in and give something that we don't have right now with this big man. Again, a multi-year college player, sophomore out of Indiana, 20 years of age, good profile. And the shooting is what really intrigues me. Obviously a guy who can space the floor out would be great. You got Brunson, OG, Julius, right? It's going to eat up a lot of space in the paint. Bully ball. Elite rebounder is Julius, and a guy who can really back his man down. Imagine having a big man like a Kel'el Ware who could space it out in the corner. The elbows, pick and pop, all of those things as well. But with the good comes some question marks, obviously, as well, like you guys are pointing out. Very, very wise as well. London says some big questions about his commitment to playing hard. I think that's where it'll come in with Woody, the connections as well. But yeah, there's some risks. And as Dirty says, if Kel'el Ware didn't have some of these questions, he would be a top 3 pick. Yeah, very, very intriguing talent in terms of like Christian Wood. Remember there was that free agency where Christian Wood was, commanding 20 to 25 mil. He went to LA, went to Dallas. Why is he not a really big in the league now? Is Christian Wood? Is because, some of those intangibles just aren't there. The skill set, the soft touch is there as well. But Knicks ran out of steam, says Ware won't drop to the Knicks. Yeah. In a shallow draft, I think there's a really high chance that Kel'el is snapped up before picks 20. But potentially the Knicks could move up. Again, it is a more shallow draft. And we've seen this before, if the Knicks really like a guy, I think they will do something to get him. We did try to trade up to get a Jaden Ivey. We did try to trade up to get Tyrese Maxey as well. Then we ended up falling back once he went off the board, and we took quickly. So, look, we'll see. I think Woody, again, we need to rely on a lot of intel, if we can, scouting, as we say. But, yeah, Kel'el's most likely going to be snapped up right before we pick. I think around the 20 to 24 range, potentially. We'll see. He might climb even higher with that, with some good interviews, good workouts, good interviews as well. But talk about, something that he offers is different to what we currently have. And if we've learned anything from this season, man, is obviously Isaiah is a starting quality big man. Mitchell Robinson, when healthy, is one of the elite defensive centers and best rebounder offensively. Jericho Sims, I don't want to, I don't want to keep piling on Jericho, and if you look at it like he was the 58th pick, he's kind of outplayed his projection as well. He's succeeded in life as Jericho, but in terms of NBA and in this ball club, do the Knicks really need three guys that do the same thing, kind of some to the lesser extent? We need to make a decision with Jericho, and yeah, he does have some good skills and good physical traits, but for me, Jericho Sims offers lesser of what those other two offer, and I don't know if there's a need to keep him on the roster moving forward, right? A lot of you guys hit us up and talk about a big man that can stretch the floor out as well. And as I highlighted as well, guys, with Julius coming back, his imminent return, he's going to eat up a lot of space in the dunker spot, the post game, and in the paint. And having a big man next to Julius that could stretch the floor a little bit will be even better. Again, I'm happy if we keep Mitch and Isaiah, but maybe getting a third big man that can do something else is, the way to go with Kel'el Ware. Wait and see, but by far the best, offensive center that we could get our hands on in this draft. And I think we'll take a good look at him, obviously with the intel that we do have. Salute D Cool, what's up? Douglas in the building. The man caves in the building says, fellas, we are picking in the end of the draft, not the lottery, so it's worth the risk. I think, that is a great point you make as well. There's a lot to weigh up, Players can come into the league and can get right. There were some players come into the league with some question marks, and they made it. Like J.R. Smith came in, had his ups and downs throughout the league, but his game was always there. It was always in demand. As I mentioned, Christian Wood is a pretty good cautionary tale to talk about in terms of a guy who just didn't fulfill his potential, but did end up getting paid still. Right, so that lets you know that regardless of these issues, these guys can still stay in the league. They're in demand because, offensive-minded centers don't grow on trees. There's a reason why Jonas Valanciunas, he's 32, he still might get a good bag. There's a reason Christian Wood got a good bag as well. So we'll keep talking about it. As I said, later in the show, we'll do Q&A and just freestyle. But let's move along to the next prospect that we talk about, fam. We're 4 down tonight out of 8 of safe selections, how they help the New York Knicks. Without further ado, the next guy we'll talk about is very, very intriguing to me. Jonathan Mogbo, man, 6'8", forward junior out of San Fran, and 22 years of age as well. Another guy with experience, right? Did some amazing things this year and is really, really catching on. So let me get his highlights up as well, and we'll start talking about Jonathan Mogbo. Now, he's had a crazy rise, fam. He was in high school, according to my knowledge, was barely 6 feet. 6 feet, maybe just over. But in college, he's grown, man. He has grown and shot up, right? His range is all over the place right now. It could be 25, 45, but I think it's going to be higher than 45, no doubt. Athletic, burly power forward, but is a real athlete. NBA comp. Could be in the mold of an Aaron Gordon, guys, in terms of the ability to play make a little, shoot the ball a little, and obviously be a bully to the cup, right? Very, very athletic, wingspan, and a combination of forward spots, and an absolute stat stuffer as well in terms of assists, rebounds, and points. And he is a late riser right now, and his weakness is his age and free throw attempts. He's only averaging 3 free throw attempts. Right now he's Jonathan Mogbo, but I mean, look how he could fit, man. He could really give this team the physicality at the forward spot, the backup spot, right? Good help defender there, blocking shots, good guarding 1v1 as well, and he's a force offensively when cutting to the bucket as well. So I think, in terms of how he fits, man, a backup for Julius, a backup for OG Anunoby, right? But untapped potential. He's a late riser, and really got hops. Good comp from Dirty says Quincy Acey, more like a Precious Achua, potentially. You love his intangibles, but it would still be a pass for you. Yep. For me, I think it's worth the flyer if we are taking two of these picks. But like I said, he's a guy that fits the roster. And I think a guy that the Knicks would love in terms of Tibbs. Tibbs did trust Precious Achua quite a bit. So I could see him sliding into one of those spots. Tibbs played bogey for his offensive skills. Mogbo, obviously the question marks over his ability to stretch it on a consistent basis. Aaron Gordon, he's a streaky shooter as well. But yeah, when you're picking at this spot, you're giving up a little and you're getting as well. It's a fine balance for me. Versatility is good with Jonathan, being a combo forward. Obviously, he's a little bit more of a 4, I think, moving forward. But the fact that he was so short, younger in his age, and he's risen a lot, he's got that touch, right? And his ability to stuff the stat sheet is, I think, no doubt his biggest skill set for me. We'll see how he checks out in these workouts. I think he's going to be one of those guys that, once teams get a look at firsthand, it's going to be a case of they're either going to fall in love, in or out of love with him. If they do fall in with love, it's going to be all the way in, because I think he is rising up. But obviously, played for San Francisco, and just absolutely stood out, jumped off the page. His ability to play make there, as you see, bringing it up the court. Good touch there, good vision. Can he space the floor out a little? But I think he would be a pretty safe pick for me, and where we sit. Knicks ran out of steam says, I don't see how Mogbo would grow in a Tibbs system. David M says a backup to OG would be good. Definitely. Different comps, and it's all about once they get into the league as well, their age, how much are they able to bring what they were able to do in college into the pros, right? The pros, it's a completely different challenge, right? And, NBA comps, a lot of these are the higher ceiling, right? So he's got work to do, but when I talk about the range, the big difference with this guy and some of the other guys is, Mogbo was largely, in the second round for quite a bit. He's only just really started to really gather a lot of first round buzz, but there is, every chance that he's very late first round, even second round too. And if you're picking maybe with our 38th pick, that could be a very, very potential, high upside swing, and a good steal as well. But the skill sets that he currently brings, I think, would fit with this squad right now. Obviously, some to a bigger extent. Now, let's talk about the fifth guy. I think this is the sixth guy we talk about is Terrence Shannon, 6'7", out of Illinois. 23 years of age, NBA comp, Kel'el Ware type. Let me know your thoughts about Terrence Shannon. There is obviously a skill set where he can be offensive minded, right? Terrence Shannon's one of those guys that can play make, can slash, and can get to the cup and light it up offensively. I'll pull up his highlights right now. He had a big 31-point performance at MSG in front of a bunch of executives. He got to his spots, driving left or right, explosive, and knows how to score, man. Knows how to score. Creation is a strength and can get to the bucket. Free throws attempted, man. Some of his weaknesses, age and defensive intangibles, not quite there, I think, for me. But look at him cutting left and right, and is a very super aggressive, right? So if we are looking at a spot, where Hart's obviously back in his normal backup three, obviously Alec Burks, the backup two spot, is something to really look at, and I think Terrence Shannon would fit into that. Look, I'm okay if we keep Alec Burks. I think he's obviously just a means to an end with his age. I think there's a chance Alec Burks could be kept if he's willing to take less, and then maybe flipped. Maybe he's a key piece at the trade deadline that you could flip for a bigger piece. But yeah, the thing to note with Terrence Shannon is more that he is more of a shooting guard to me. He's not really that that defensive wing that is going to back up an OG Anunoby. He's more of a guy that will work perfect next to Deuce McBride. Go get you your points, light it up off the bench, and obviously ease the scoring that we have. He's got some off-court stuff as well. We do mention that. He has a court hearing on June 10, but I don't expect, from what I've heard, I don't think it's going to affect or limit his ability to come in. Dirty says, guys who you want me to cover should look at Kolek, Bonner, and Sherman. Appreciate you for that. We will add them. Best believe that. Obviously, we've got episode 2, episode 3 coming up in this series, and we're going to add more. Right, episode 2 will be risk and reward for the New York Knicks. Guys who I think are going to be in that category, I'm going to put AJ Johnson, I'm going to put Johnny Furphy as well, so that's a spoiler alert for that. And then aiming high, spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about a Zach Edey kind of thing. Guys who are going to be gone, basically, when the Knicks select, but guys who, if we really want, we'll have the opportunity to try to trade up. Obviously, aiming high, I'm going to put Tristan Da Silva and Devin Carter as well. The son of Anthony Carter, right, former Denver Nugget, former New York Knick, Anthony Carter's son, Devin Carter as well. He's going to be an aiming high. Zach Edey, Tristan Da Silva. Guys are, I think, going to be gone, but with higher upside, right? Episode 2, some of the guys I'll talk about risk rewards will be, as I mentioned, AJ, Johnny Furphy, Trenton Flowers, and I'll talk about Ulrich as well with some of them, and I'll add some of these other prospects that you want me to talk about as well in the chat right now. You guys are buzzing, the best fan base in the biz. yeah, Keyshawn as well. I do want to talk about, and yeah, look forward to talking about Zach Edey, right? Is more of a surer thing than I think a Kel'el Ware is, but obviously I think yeah, Zach will be gone. I think in late lottery or early 20s, too, fam. But back to Terrence Shannon before we move along. Terrence Shannon Jr. Obviously, playmaking and scoring, the size is still a plus. 6'6", 6'7". He's not the big wing that I think an OG Anunoby is, and we're still going to have to look at areas where we can help with him. Based on what Hart's talked about and everything that Hart is good at doing, I don't want Josh Hart playing a lot of the backup 3, backup 4. I think Josh Hart at the shooting guard, obviously with his size and rebounding, gives the Knicks a real advantage. Ability to play make and push the break. I think Josh Hart that's where he's best at. For me personally, but Terrence Shannon, can fit next to Deuce McBride. He could take over some of that backup point as well, and obviously be more of that, primary scorer focused off the bench. Not too dissimilar to a younger Alec Burks, I guess. But obviously his age, 23 too. So his floor is a bit higher than a lot of others. Obviously he's a big game player as well. Like we saw, had big games this season, 30 plus points, MSG, pleased a lot of executives as well. And look, I think Terrence Shannon's range is right on the fringe of where the Knicks pick. Obviously, we'll have to wait to see what happens with his court hearing as well. But once again, from what I heard, I don't expect that to limit, what's going to happen. But we'll wait and see, guys. But yeah, intriguing prospect nonetheless, man. I think another dynamic scorer off our bench would be a welcome addition, right? Alec Burks is on the latter stage of his career as well. But I'll also use this opportunity to spoil some other shows that I'm going to be talking about that are non-draft related as we move along to the next guy, Ajay Mitchell. But I'll be doing some sneaky pickups show in terms of non-draft related, free agency, potential smaller moves and trade pickups. Guys like Alex Caruso, Jose Alvarado, Cole Anthony, some of these, doubles, not home runs, singles, doubles, I think could come in and really, move this roster forward, fam, as well. And I really don't think that the Knicks need another star to win a championship as well. And I will be doing another show on could the Knicks be the next 04 Pistons as well. Do a couple simulations and add a few tweaks and just show some people how I think this squad could be fleshed out with some other moves as well, using Bogdanovic's salary, all of that. I really think there's a world where obviously play style, they're not going to be exactly like the 04 Pistons. But what I mean is, if we supplement the other pieces and have the 2 stars that we currently have, that can be enough. And we double down on our identity, physicality, we grind you down and we be really, really tough to beat that way. I think depth is key to winning in this league, guys. And I think, the league is changing, right? We see Dallas, right? They've only got 2 stars, really. You look at, Boston, they've got 2 stars and 2 elite role players, but a lot of depth. With that said as well. So, without further ado, let's move along to the penultimate prospect we talk about tonight, which is Ajay Mitchell. He's more of a shooting guard. Again, a scoring type, 6'5", a junior out of UC Santa Barbara, 22 years of age as well. What are your thoughts on Ajay Mitchell? I'm going to get up the profile right now of AJ. Where we at with this one? You guys are buzzing tonight with me. Salute to Replay Squad, the best in the biz. Let's get it. And then we're going to also talk about DaRon Holmes, too, fam. next up. But Ajay Mitchell, isolation scoring, right? Shot creation, NBA comp could be in the mold of an Andrew Nembhard, right? A range 25 to 40, right? Doesn't have the size, I think, to play a backup 3 or 4 spot, but certainly the backup 2 as well for me. And again, this guy can really space it out, right? Field goal percentage is a big plus for Ajay Mitchell. And yeah, he's going to be available, I think, mid-20s, somewhere in that latter part of the first round. I don't know if he'll slip to the second round. I doubt that. But you talk about a guy with isolation scoring abilities, man. Good quick step there. Can get separation really quick. He's 6'4 3/4, what they say, 6'5", basically. Obviously a little undersized, but we're playing already with Devo, Josh Hart. I would prefer a little bit more size at this spot, but you can't ignore the scoring. A lot of people saying they're sold on his scoring and passing abilities. Really could be the real deal, right? Obviously, Andrew Nembhard is a rising star in the league, right? What he did in the playoffs was huge, right? And yeah, obviously, I wouldn't want too many undersized guys, but there is really, really big upside with AJ if you can get him later in the first round. His ability to shoot the rock, at a high percentage, step back passing ability. Yeah, good vision there as well. So yeah, he's college experience, 22 years of age. Yeah, a junior coming out of Santa Barbara, and I think he would be a good pickup for the New York Knicks as a guy off our bench to do some stuff, get busy, play next to Deuce McBride, and space the defense out. Any thoughts on AJ, guys? Not as high on him as some of the other guys. Obviously, we've gone full circle, really. A lot of defensive-focused minded guys, from your Jaylon Tyson and your Ryan Dunns, Jonathan Mogbo, and then the last two that we've talked about now with scoring abilities as well. But that could be had in free agency as well. But I think these would be along the safer selections. Now, when we did Swish or Dish with Alec Burks, for me it was a dish. But he's kind of that guy where I wouldn't mind if he's still here. I just think it's time to move along. So what do you guys think about Alec Burks, right? Do you think keep him around for another year? See if we can get him on a vet min? I think he's going to get a little bit more money than that, but he might want to stick, and maybe this is a home for him. Maybe Alec Burks has bounced around a lot and he just wants to be part of this winning program right now. We'll see. But for me, it's a bit of a dish for Alec Burks. Really proud of what he achieved in the playoffs. I think it's time to get a little bit younger with that spot as well. Let me know what you guys think. Swish or dish with Alec Burks, right? In relation to Ajay Mitchell, talking about Terrence Shannon Jr. as well. D Cool says, I'm taking Amado Baycott at 24-25 and trade the other pick. I'm seeing a lot of people say that. I think there's a great chance that we'll make one of those picks, yeah, like you said, and trade the other one, or move down to get more second round picks as well. I really think that these second round picks are something that's going to help and really intrigue the New York Knicks to get what they need, with these second round picks. 38, we love the Deuce McBride pickup, Sims. We'll see what happens with Rokas as well, but, really, really friendly contracts, no guarantee. Remember, we're trying to avoid the tax apron, the first apron. When it all said and done, the Knicks can't have too many first-round salaries on their books. That's what it basically comes down to, guys. It's not that the Knicks don't want more young talent. It's not that we don't want talent. It's purely financials where we sit right now. Look, we're about to roll up the Brings truck when it comes to paying OG, iHeart, to stave off some of these suitors. Obviously, Randall. We saw Ian Begley predict that the Knicks and Randall will not come to an extension agreement this summer. Right, that's just a guess from him, a prediction. But I think it's a pretty safe prediction. I think the Knicks have got so much spending on their mind when it comes to Brunson's extension as well, Tibbs. But when it comes to financials, we're very, very close to the end game. And I think what we do with Bogdanovic, and what we do with Mitch, and potentially using those salaries to get maybe the bigger final piece is going to be something to watch. Is going to be something to watch closely. Obviously, after that, it's going to be very, very difficult to get a big salary piece in without moving on from one of the big core guys. So yeah, I think cost control, the Knicks being really, really smart with that. We'll talk about Tyler Kolek in the future shows as well, and some playmaking abilities at backup point guard. But right now, Deuce McBride, really happy with his growth, his development, and I think he'll have another big year coming up. He's not the best shot creator and facilitator, we know, but the shooting, the scoring ability, the driving and layup ability to finish did take a big step. But yeah, guys, look at all these assets too. At some point when we are when we are spending close to the apron, the more we get all these draft picks as well, the time is coming, the time is now, where I think the Knicks will make a splash very, 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 very soon. Most likely this summer. We'll wait and see. But yeah, the Bogdanovic salary is something to really look at. Now, J-Dub, I see you talking about DaRon Holmes, and you hit the money. That is the final guy we'll talk about tonight, and then we'll do some Q&A, some freestyle talk. DaRon Holmes, 6'10", power forward out of Dayton, right, 21 years of age. Let me pull up his highlights right now from DaRon Holmes. Let's go chat, right? It's been fun talking about these guys that can come in and give the Knicks something, right? Some safer picks. DaRon Holmes, man, he's a real backup four-man, right? Stat sheet stuffer as well. NBA comp. Could be a Naz Reid, right? Plays both sides. Really gets amongst it. Good wingspan. Solid athlete. Some weaknesses can be his offensive rebounding, age as well. But look, yeah, he commands position down low, plays above the rim. Yeah, he's going to fill out as well. J-Dub says, need to draft DaRon Holmes 25th Kel'el Ware. That would be a good boost to our front court. Definitely a lot of versatility there and size to look at the playoffs Naz Reid has had as well. That's something to look at too. Let us know what's happening with the Rangers game. As I see bricks, looks like the Rangers are struggling. Building blocks in the building. What's up? Holmes looks stiff to me. Yeah, he's not the most fluid guy. Definitely not. Even sort of Naz Reid, yeah, kind of doesn't move the best either. But I do think, yeah, he's a really big guy. DaRon Holmes is slender. He should move better. But yeah, I think with Holmes, I think it's a little on the lesser likely side. I think that with Randall, with OG, um, I could find other better needs that this squad needs. But yeah, I think he'd still be an intriguing talent to bring in. We'll see what happens with Achua. Um, but obviously coming out of Dayton, right? Yeah, he was a bit of a focus offensively. Ability to shoot it is a positive as well. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the center positions. Obviously, Isaiah, I expect, is very likely to return. Mitchell Robinson's on a really, really good contract, and I think when healthy, he shows that he's absolutely a worthy keeper, and being a rotation tandem with Isaiah. But the Jericho spot, backup four, both backup and third string, really needs some addressing. But to me, the OG situation and his backup is the most important thing if I'm looking at it. And that's where I feel like after tonight, if I'm to rank some of these guys, I think the first three guys that I hit on, Ryan Dunn, as we do a summary tonight, Ryan Dunn's just ability to just be a nuisance defensively and get amongst it would really complement, especially as a backup to OG. And I think we can supplement that with some shooting around him. Bobi Klintman, 6'10", a guy who has pro experience, a bigger body, can play the 3 or the 4 as well, ability to stretch the floor out a bit as well, with some upside. Now, I think he's worth taking a swing. And Jaylon Tyson, 6'7", junior as well, 21. Comp-wise, yeah, a guy who can play make, shot create, slash. Kayla Martin, Alec Burks. He's an athlete, good size, good strength. Now, is a streak shooter as well, but I like his ability to slash, put the defense under pressure as well. I like at times when Dante DiVincenzo was aggressive. He's undersized though, 6'4". When he gets bumped, he gets blocked. It's tough finishing at the cup as well sometimes for him. Tyson comes in at 6'6", 6'7". I think those three guys I would be ecstatic with. Kel'el Ware would be, I think, if we are drafting 2 picks, I could get behind. I do want us to address more creation and a wing defense. But I think Kel'el Ware, Jonathan Mogbo, if we are drafting multiple guys, I would be okay with those guys and coming in. I think they would add something. And then, yeah, Terrence Shannon's, dynamic offense, would be decent at the backup too. Ajay Mitchell as well. We'll see if those guys, are still on the board when the New York Knicks select, right? Don't forget, we might get to this situation too, guys, where let's say some of these guys that are still on the board and we don't want them, but another team wants them. They might call up Leon and say, hey, Terrence Shannon, AJ's still on the board. We want them, man. And we don't pick until, the latter first round or the start of the second round as well. What's it going to take? What's it going to take to get one of those picks from you, man? Pick 24 or pick 25. And that's where the Knicks might think, man, okay, you send us one of your future picks, give us this, give us one of your backup point guards or something like that. And we do business. So yeah, there's going to be so many different options on draft night, guys. But the more picks we have, the better. Doesn't mean we're going to make all those selections. But what it does mean is we could maybe take advantage of some other teams' needs as well. J Dub says sneaky pick I like is Tyson and Bud Carrington. Appreciate you mentioning Bud Carrington as well. I will hit on him in the other episodes as well, with this first episode of the Knicks draft series, how they help. Safer selections tonight, right? But some of these other guys I think will fit into the future episodes, risk reward and aiming high. I don't expect the Knicks to really trade up unless it's, a real guy that's getting real attention and real buzz. Zach Edey, maybe one of them. Also, like I said before, maybe a Tristan Da Silva, Devin Carter, but the Knicks do have a few undersized guards. With that said, though, I think the aiming high, the risk rewards, episode 2 is going to be fun, man. Next show we do next week. Going to talk about AJ Johnson, Johnny Furphy, Ulrich, Trenton Flowers as well, and some of these other guys. Tyler Kolek, I think, can be risk reward as well. And keep it moving with this. As yes, Soch says, Tyler Kolek we will talk about in the next show. Has a bit of TJ McConnell in him, I agree, but he's a little undersized as well. DaRon, 100% agree with you on this one. Don't see the Knicks bring in 3 new rookies as well. With that said, I think here's what's most likely, fam. We take 1 first-round pick and we make 1 second-round pick. We trade the other one. I think we trade the other one for assets. I think that's the most likely. The second most likely thing is we trade both first and try to get a veteran, right? We just use that salary and we're saying, hey, we're not drafting 2 guaranteed first-round salary contracts because we don't want that money moving forward. So we're going to trade both of them and we'll take our chances in the second round and we'll move both first-round picks for veterans, and like I said, take a swing on these second-rounders because as we summarize this draft, let's face it, this is a very, very even draft. Some of these guys we talked about tonight can fall to the second round, and that's where the Knicks like to pick from a financial perspective. But it's a crapshoot anyway you look at it. It's roulette. And if we have our guys that we really like, and maybe they're under the radar, maybe we've worked them out 4 times, and we have more intel than some of these other guys. Maybe we feel like they're going to be available in the second round. I think we will do that. I have real hesitation thinking that we're going to, draft 2 first-round guys because of the money, like you said. But that doesn't mean we won't find some good talent. And I think these guys that we talked about tonight, Ryan Dunn, Klintman, Tyson, Kel'el Ware, Jonathan Mogbo, Terrence Shannon, Ajay Mitchell, and DaRon Holmes will add something to this roster. I think they could still come in and help us straight away. Now, the other guys are great fits for the future that we'll talk about too. I've seen a lot of people thinking that the Knicks might look at Johnny Furphy. I don't think he's a great fit for the Knicks and Tibbs. I do know a lot about him. Obviously, he's a fellow Aussie. And Johnny Furphy is obviously rising up. He's very young, got upside. I don't think his game fits the Knicks right now. A couple years in the league, he fills out and shows out. Then I think the Knicks will look at him later. If he's a vet. But yeah, the Jaylon Tysons, those guys, the ability to defend multiple positions, Ryan Dunn's, and these guys, I think is going to catch the Knicks' eye. Johnny Furphy's defense, it's definitely a negative, but he's not like an unplayable guy. I guess when you're 6'9", you can get him beat. I think his biggest issue is just getting beat off the dribble. But in terms of a help defender, I think he's solid. I think he's got good wingspan, he's got good length. Yeah, he just needs to put on muscle, man. He needs to get that muscle going, and he's just super young. But once he fills out a bit, I could definitely see him making a big impact off the bench early, stretching the floor out, and that. Isaiah Collier. London says no for Collier. Dirty says I want to drive to Summer League for the first time in years, but they just won't let me. We'll see what happens with Summer League. Yeah, obviously I want to watch a fun Summer League team as well. Let's hope we get a better Summer League team than your Charlie Browns and and that. I mean, we were spoiled that year, man, with Deuce McBride, Quickly, Mitch. We had Knox. We had we had Obi and Quickly and Quentin Grimes. I remember too, fam. But that's the trade-off now. The trade-off is that this roster is ready to contend. And whilst I still am a firm believer that you could have both ways. And that'll be a future show. Can you contend, and can you develop young talent at the same time? A lot of people think that it's impossible. I think if you work hard enough, you can do it. The G League is there for a reason. Spot minutes should be there for a reason. But yeah, we'll talk about it as we move along in this buzzing off season, right? I don't think the Knicks need to vie for 55, 58 wins, and really hurt themselves, playing their main guys all the minutes. I think, you bring a deeper roster back, hopefully towards the end of the season, you're within good range of home court advantage. And I think maybe you could take the foot off the gas a bit, right? OG Anunoby, he's not an 82-game guy. Julius Randle has been banged up heading into the playoffs both times. For different reasons. Josh Hart, just a lot of health concerns, heading into the playoffs with Mitch as well, not being as durable. I think we need to learn lessons of what we've had, and I think getting more of these rough riders, these physical wings, and guys who can play the style that Tibbs wants to play, just get more of them. Double down on guys who can play both sides of the floor. What do we think of Alex Sarr, man? Alex Sarr, I think, to me, is the number one pick. But it's a very, very weak class in terms of that. I think Alex Sarr would probably be a top 10 guy in another draft. But that said, I think, his ceiling can be high. I think what I saw from Alex, in person, his help defense, his instincts defensively are elite. He's going to rack up the blocks. He's going to be just like a Wembanyama light. I think that's the best compliment I can give, man. Just a Wembanyama light. He's not 7'5", but 7'1", ability to deter shots, fly across the court. Offense, that's the biggest question over his game. He could be anything from a Willie Cauley-Stein and Christian Wood, and just not develop, not develop other parts of his game, or be inconsistent. Or he could be like a Chet Wembanyama light, if he really works on things. One thing going for Alex, I think a lot of people judged a little unfairly, was, they thought he might be a little soft, or he might not want that smoke. He might not want physicality. He is very competitive. He got chippy in a couple of these NBL games throughout the season. In the pro game, he wasn't afraid. He didn't take a step back against grown men as well. So I'm quietly confident that Alex Sarr is going to have a very long NBA career. All-star in his horizon is very questionable. I think he might top out at like a Clint Capella, at a very, very solid pro, be a starting big man on most teams, but with potential. If that offense can develop further, then I think he could be a real defensive player of the year type guy. Really good agility, good mobility as well. We'll see. Link says Kel'el Ware might not go top 15 when all said and done. Yeah, I agree. I think it's up in the air. I think, he might go he might go anything from 15 to 25 as well. I think teams are going to heavily look at workouts and interviews with Kel'el Ware as well. Knicks in the building. What's up? Alex Sarr reminds you of Mobley. That's a good comparison. I think Mobley's has been judged as soft as well, needing to refine his offensive game. But obviously the length, the verticality, the movement helps him as a defender with that. Just a very, very solid pro. And look, I know this is going to happen, but he's probably going to get taken 1 or 2, and he's going to be judged very, very harshly in terms of like, number 1 pick bust and all of that. Alex Sarr, these overseas prospects, these French guys. Yeah. Well, for the most part, I don't think he'll be judged soft because I've seen him, I've seen him get into altercations on the court. He likes to trash talk. He's not like a typical, older French prospect. We know the names, but he's more of the younger generation, so he does mix it up. But the fact that this is such a weaker class, he'll always be looked at as like a number 1, number 2 pick. So that is a concern. If he doesn't show a clear, impact early, then there will be a lot of shade, I think, thrown out there as well. But I think he's ready. He's gone all over the world. Literally played in France, played in the overtime elite, played in the NBL now. I think his brother Ollie Sarr is in the league as well. I think Alex Sarr more than ever is ready for the smoke. I think he's ready for what's to come mentally. His game, we'll see how that plays out. Fit is going to be everything. I think if he goes to Washington, I think that could be a good fit as well. Going to get a lot of minutes. Going to be a losing team, but he's going to get a lot of opportunities. And obviously Atlanta. I think Clint Capella is getting on. We'll see what happens with them. Detroit. If I know Detroit slipped to 5, I think Alex Sarr could be a good fit, good tandem with Jaylon Tyson, as well, in terms of fits there. Knicks high on Jonathan Mogbo. Shot up, as I talked about before, shot up in his height, rising up the boards right now. Nick says Knicks are a horrible transition team, and Mogbo will let them get easier points, create fast breaks as well. One comp that's come to my mind, man, is Kenneth Faried. Energy, the Manimal. What do you think of the comp? Maybe a Kenneth Faried type. He stuffed the stat sheet. And I just don't know what happened to Kenneth Faried, man. He had one outstanding season where it looked like he was ready to become an all-star. He was playing in Team USA, and then he just fell off the map. Man, he fell off the map with Kenneth Faried, but he had a huge impact early in Denver when they were a losing team. And I'm scared about the Knicks' depth too. I think OG, you know what OG is great for. He needs to be ready for the postseason. He'll help you win your 50 games when he's available, but he's not durable. He's not a guy built for 82. So let's swap Bogdanovic out and let's get a two-way combo forward. I think that's more defensive minded. Or if you're keeping Bogdanovic, maybe you flip him, you put him at the 4 as a stretch 4, and you get a physical wing like a Jaylon Tyson. Now, I think Bogdanovic's option will get picked up, but obviously just for flexibility purposes, and then we'll see what happens. J Dub says Knicks only going for ready-made players, two-way players, 100%, like we talked about tonight. Maybe that makes Kel'el Ware a little less likely, Terrence Shannon, but those three wings that I talked about were definitely guys worth looking at in terms of how they fit. Safer selections tonight. guys, as well. Hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have, smash that like button. Really appreciate you rocking out. The chat's been on fire tonight as well. We'll go a few more minutes, answer some questions, and then we'll get ready for episode 2 of the Knicks draft series, How They Help. Episode 2, once again, I'm going to enjoy it because we're going to talk about risk-reward. Fam, exactly like my guy J-Dub says here, episode 2 will be risk-reward guys as well. Guys that may go against the mold of what we're currently doing, not fully, but to a lesser extent. For example, like, AJ Johnson, Johnny Furphy, they have some defensive potential, but they're not defensive players, But can the Knicks look at a guy like them and say, you know what? Your talent is just, your potential is just so high that we need to get you. AJ Johnson, man, more than ever, this could be a year where if you can get him 25, pick 24, 25, right? This is a guy who could really be a special player in the league, right? Very, very raw, but shot creation, silky skills, dribble, playmaking, and shot could be really high. Johnny Furphy as well, 6'9", has defensive potential, needs to put on weight, is a good off-ball rebounder. Trenton Flowers has the capacity to be a good defender as well. More offensive-minded, I feel, right now. He learned a lot in his pro season. Trenton Flowers did a bit of playmaking that didn't work out so well, but then he thrived when he was moved to the wing spot. And then, he was able to really develop his game a lot playing pro ball as well. So that'll be episode 2. Episode 3, we'll talk about Zach Edey, Devin Carter, Tristan Da Silva, guys that are less likely, and we'll talk about them later in the series, but, we'll still get to know their games. Because how I also look at the draft, guys, is this. The draft is just one pathway into the NBA. Once they've got to the NBA, the connection with the Knicks doesn't end right there as well. What the Knicks like to do is they'll interview as many guys as they can. They'll try to work out a lot of guys as well. And a lot of fans say, oh, why are they doing that? They're wasting their time. Well, it's so that they can get to know them. Once they get to know you, it don't matter if you're on the Washington Wizards. It don't matter if you're playing in Houston, Texas. Once you get into the league, you're an NBA pro, and the Knicks, care about you. The Knicks will have a vested interest in maybe trading for you one day, maybe getting you as a free agent, etc. So that's another way of the Knicks planting seed. And as I hinted at as well, we're going to do a show about can the Knicks, develop, and can they compete at the same time. We're also going to do a show about, minor moves, singles, doubles that we can make to make this team a contender as well, right? Guys who I think can come in, Alex Caruso's of the world, Kelly Oubre, Cole Anthony, various names, right, that might not take a lot to get, but you fit them into this squad right now, and I think it really pushes us forward. Knicks high on AJ Johnson as well. London was high on Nick Clifford from Colorado. Yeah, a very, very deep class in terms of parity, second round picks, I think could be really intriguing for the Knicks as well. But that basically concludes the show tonight, fam. In terms of episode 1, how they help the Knicks draft series. Go through it. There'll be timestamps as well. If you're just catching it on replay, salute, welcome in as well. Exciting time to be a Knicks fan, right? We've got to continue to build this thing brick by brick, but we're closer than we've ever been in the last 25 years now. Big off season for the Knicks, right? A lot of ways we can improve the squad, how they helped the Knicks in Series 1, Episode 1. These guys, defensively, potential offensively as well, some of these wings and shooting guards, right? But the Knicks have a need at the big man, I feel, the backup wing, and some scoring playmaking off our bench. And there's a lot of ways we can address that too, fam, as well. Appreciate you all for joining us. Yeah, we'll talk about Bud Carrington as well, but peace, guys. Be well, stay blessed, and I will catch you next week, fam. What are we, Saturday now? I'll catch you on Monday or Tuesday night for episode 2, and we'll talk about risk rewards in this draft as well. We'll have some guests come on and talk to us about the class and the prospects as well. But once again, smash that like button. The Knicks streets are buzzing, and I will see you soon. Peace.